Well, hello everybody and welcome to the show. My name is Keithanthony Taylor and this is London Overcomers, Real Pain. This is the first in the series of my new podcasts. I'm very happy to welcome Beryl Comar. Now, Beryl Comar is an expert in emotional intelligence, the first to bring hypnosis, NLP, EFT and sleep talk coaching and training to Dubai, the Middle East and beyond. She's an NLP master trainer, an EFT trainer, teaching emotional intelligence, public speaking, communication, management and supervisory skills to corporations, elite companies, hotels, and government organizations, including the Dubai Police. She was trained by Gerald Kine, Dr. Will Horton, Dr. Michael Hall, Richard Bandler, and Gil Boyne. Beryl treats anxieties, panic attacks, fears, smoking, and habit cessation, relationships, broken hearts, allergies, and pain management. In 2010, the National Guild of Hypnotists in USA awarded Beryl with their highest honor, the Order of Braid. And this prestigious award recognizes a lifetime of outstanding achievement. Beryl is author of Hypnodontics, a manual for dentists and hypnotists. And she offers help to children troubled by war and constant unrest in the MENA region. Beryl, welcome to the show. And it's a fabulous honor to have you on the first show, which is all about overcoming pain. So I couldn't have a better person on the show because I think that you're very skilled in dealing with pain, anxiety, and overcoming all that kind of thing. So Beryl, what do you have to say for yourself?
Well, thank you for inviting me to be the first on your shows and good luck with the rest of them. Pain, emotional pain, physical pain, psychological pain, spiritual pain. Let's call it discomfort because pain becomes a pain, doesn't it?
Yes, and there's a lot of anxiety and pain, emotional discomfort going on in the world at the moment. And the world is in a lot of turmoil at the moment. And you I know, do help children a lot, don't you? And with at the moment, we have the jab going on. A lot of children probably disturbed about having that. And you have a little story you tell children, don't you, to help them with that. Could you tell us about that a bit, perhaps?
Telling stories about stopping needles. And anxiety.
How do you do that?
Well, I always let them imagine me as their fairy godmother. If I'm working with people directly, they always get their wand, and mothers tell me that they sleep with it underneath their pillow and things like that. But nowadays, I'm working a lot online, and kids are very comfortable online. People have thought when they've had to switch from seeing people one-on-one that switching to online would be difficult. It's not, because they're so used to it. They're doing schooling online. They're talking to their friends online. They're very switched on technological. And I actually find that they wriggle less. It's much easier to get into rapport than when they come to my office where there's so much to distract them that they want to touch or feel or pick up things. So they're in their hypnosis as soon as they're online. For needle phobia, I just tell them that I'm going to give them a magic spot. And that they're in control. And, I prepare them by having their mother have a magic little bottle full of colored liquid. I'm going to ask the mother, has she received this magic bottle from me, and to use it. I got this from Africa and it's a secret. So be sure not to tell anybody because it's a big secret, and kids love secrets, don't they? So, and then I asked them, where do they want this? It's only a little amount because we don't want to spend too much of this magical potion anywhere else. And then I have them apply it wherever they need, so they can have it on their ear, on their bottom if they want, and then they tell the doctor, no, if he says I want to put it in this arm, no, put it in this arm. Because fear of needles is actually fear of being out of control. So now they're in control. Yeah. And it works. When I used to do this one-on-one with kids, my husband was a physician, and I used to go sometimes to collect him if the car was in the garage or something like that. And the nurse would say, oh, I had one of yours in the other day. What do you mean one of mine? Oh, one of those who tells me where to stick the needle because they've got a magic spot. So yeah, it lasts for life. And that's a good suggestion, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's a bit like glove anesthesia for kids, isn't it? And very effective it is. Tell us, Beryl, how did, when you were a child, did you feel you wanted to be a hypnotist? How did that happen?
Well, I was always fascinated by language and the power of language. One of the first stories my mum told me is looking at the birds outside and asking, how do the birds know, it was snowing, how do the birds know that that bread is for them that we'd left out? You know, and she would say, think about that. Oh, they don't know. Oh, then they're stealing it. No, think about that. Yeah, and how do all the other birds know that that's there? Well, they're communicating, even though they don't have language like we do. I mean, that's probably what led me to do my second MA in applied linguistics, because I was always fascinated by linguistics. I never thought it would lead to a career in hypnosis because I was a school principal at the time, but it did, because what is our only tool as hypnotherapists, as NLPers, as change agents? It's language. What is it that has to change within the client? It's language, the way they talk to themselves. You know, if they want social relationships, relationship management, it's language that needs to change, not just words, but language means also our body language, our the signals that we send out, our writing skills and everything. So yeah, I just always was interested. The first hypnotist I met was my third year at college in Worcester, when they brought in a hypnotist one evening, and it was just optional to go. And I got my hands stuck together, and I was really scared. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't go on the stage. I was too scared to, but I was fascinated to watch, and that got me more interested. And then in Africa, when I did VSO, voluntary service overseas, teaching in Tanzania, and it was in an area with the Maasai tribe. So I saw them going into trance, you know, like their trance dance, jumping up and down, frothing the mouth, and healing. Wow, this reminds me of this hypnosis talk. There were not many books in the 70s on hypnosis at all, just Hartland's book. So I have a copy of Hartland, which is ingrained with 1972 in it. That was the only book I could find at the time. And so I got interested in that. I trained in Transcendental Meditation. There were some hippies who were hitchhiking through Africa who stayed for 3 months to do some volunteer teaching and work at the school. And they were trainers for TM, so I learned that back in 1974. So again, more. And then again, no internet. Finding out about training was difficult, but I did my applied linguistics. I wanted to do at Reading, 1984. Wanted to do my dissertation on NLP, but they kept saying, oh, it's not scientific. Oh, no, you can't do this. And I'm one of those people, as soon as somebody says you can't, well, that's my hypnosis word, isn't it? It's my trigger word. Who says I can't? Of course I can. And that was it. I had to search out some NLP training only in the States. That's why they were denying it in UK. So trained with Bandler in Mexico, down in Puerto Vallarta. And then my journey was always to the States, because UK was so in denial of hypnosis, NLP, and all of that kind of work. So although I'm British, I've never actually trained in the UK, always in the States. So, oh yeah, and when I was a headmistress, of course, that's how I I always thought I'd be working with kids. You get the naughty boys sent. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Patrick and Nick are there listening, but it's usually the naughty boys sent. You open the office door and there they are, the naughty kids. Oh, how come you're standing here? Oh, Miss Smith sent me. How come Miss Smith sent you? I was naughty. Come on in. And I know it's politically incorrect, but this is the 80s. I used to hypnotize them. Send them back to class. Oh, they were happy because I taught them how to learn, how to pay attention, how to use their senses to gather information. I taught them that learning was a game, and if they were naughty, they were letting Miss Smith win. But now we make it a win-win, so she wins and you win, and she doesn't get you next year in class, and you don't have to put up with her for another year. So you win by going to the next class with all your friends. So it was quite easy, really.
What was it made you want to be a teacher? You decide, was that your first choice?
In the 60s, for women, there wasn't much choice. It was I went to grammar school, so the skills things were told you're not going to be the hairdresser or whatever. So it was basically to be a trolley dolly, which is what we used to call the cabin crew at that time. And I did want to travel, but yeah, the fact that you travel, but you just stay in one night there and you're back again or whatever. No, it wasn't going to be a trolley dolly. A nurse, I would have liked blood, so I'm not going to be a nurse. A teacher or a secretary, basically. I thought, oh, I'm not clever enough to go to university. I'll go to teacher training college. So I did. And it was later when I saw all the graduate teachers at the school where I was teaching in Worcestershire that, and the graduates from university getting paid more, but it was me being asked to go and do the extra classes and the extra playground duty because I knew how to tackle the kids and manage the kids, whereas the graduates were scared of them because they hadn't done as much teacher training practice. It made me think, I'm going to get a degree now. So I got a degree and then did master's degrees and realized that, maybe I'm not as stupid as I used to think I was. Mm-hmm. So to get rid of that self-talk, I just, it was a choice, and to be a teacher was a way to get to Africa. I knew from being 13, 14, I was going to Africa, and that was it. I was going to help all the kids with no mummies and daddies.
Yes.
Because I didn't want to have kids myself. I'd had pretty tumultuous.
Getting a question from Nick there. Can you hypnotize your husband?
My husband passed away 11 years ago. He was a GP. And yeah, he used to come home from work and he'd have a headache, be tired or whatever. And I used to say, we'll do a little bit of hypnosis, put him in, tell him he'd come back when dinner was ready. Yeah, and I used Gerald Kine's Dirty Rotten Trick, or in Ellman's book, he talks about hypnotizing Larry to get rid of his PTSD when he was a child. Well, I hypnotized my husband, which is taking him out of sleep into hypnosis, back into sleep, and you don't even know you were hypnotized. And so I got him to quit snoring that way. I knew he wanted to quit snoring because he hated it when I go into the spare room. So it's not like I was doing something against his will.
Snoring's a problem for a lot of people. And I should have turned that phone off, shouldn't I? Sorry about that. Snoring's a problem for a lot of people because
clients snoring's not a problem for the person that snores.
No.
It's a problem for the partner.
Yes.
So I just changed. I have a great CD on my website, which is how to sleep while someone snores.
Mm.
Change the sound. It's a bit like tinnitus.
Yeah.
Change the sound so it's a pleasant sound. So if you do wake up, you just say, "Thank God he's alive. Thank God he's alive."
I used to when my wife snored, she made a heck of a din, and I just used to lay there listening to it and smiling to myself because it was an appalling. I mean, it was really loud, But I just used to lay there smiling to myself, saying, literally, as you said, isn't it wonderful? Instead of saying, isn't it horrible? I just lay there saying, isn't it wonderful?
Yeah, she's
That
alive.
she's alive and that she's sleeping peacefully. And I used to just chuckle to myself that she was making such an appalling sound and she doesn't know.
Mm.
And that was, I didn't think it was terrible. I said to myself, it's wonderful, because you choose your internal dialogue, don't you? So instead of saying horrible, I said wonderful, and it wasn't a problem for me, and I would be able to go straight to sleep because we choose our own internal dialogue. So you have to choose good thoughts instead of bad thoughts, and then everything's okay.
Yeah, it works as well. For example, when they were building the metro in Dubai, a lot of people with apartments and were having, and because it's so hot in Dubai, they didn't work on the metro so much during the heat of the day. They worked at night. Bang, bang, clatter, clatter, you know, beep, 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 as the lorries come in, and people were complaining on news all over the place about not being able to sleep. So again, I said, use my CD, and they found that they just changed it from snoring to any external sounds, and people were able to sleep through the sounds of the metro being built right outside their window. It's exactly the same.
Yes, our internal dialogue is very important, because if you have the correct internal dialogue, you can go through extraordinary things. I've had surgery done without anesthetic because I go in laughing and joking and saying everything's okay. And I've done surgery to myself, with a knife, and people don't believe you can do it. But it's what you have in your mind. And I say to myself, there's no pain, everything's okay, and we're just having a bit of fun here. And I thought, I want to save my leg, so let's do this. And I said to myself, well, the leg's down there and I'm up here, and there's a long way between us, and everything's okay. So self-surgery, no anesthetic, and everything was okay, because I'm not saying to myself, this is a nightmare. And so it was easier than having my leg cut off, which was the alternative if I went to the hospital. And it's all about your internal dialogue. And as hypnotists, we can do this. And
I learned this from the Maasai.
Say again?
I learned this fact from the Maasai back in the 70s, because the Maasai would run at a very hypnotic pace. They were in trance, barefoot across the Masai Mara, across. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the acacia trees in Africa, but the thorns are so thick.
Yes.
They have thorns in their feet, as animals do too. And they were in their hypnosis. They didn't feel the pain. They got to 10 miles to where they're going. They just pull the thorns out of their feet.
Don't they get infected?
And blood, because they didn't expect it. And they were trained from an early age not to, and then they carry on with it.
Yes, I used to have a bad time with injections, that kind of thing, but I don't feel them anymore, because I just go in laughing and joking now, and I realized that my blood pressure was dropping and making me faint when I had injections, and that was all to do with the vagus nerve. Once I learned the physiology of it, I thought it's just my body playing tricks on me. And once I understood the physiology of it, it never happened again, because I just said to myself, well, okay, my blood pressure's rising from now on, and I'm just having a good time. And I never fainted again. And I look at the needle going in now, and I joke with the phlebotomist, and I just go in to have a good time instead of going in to have a bad time. And I had a blood test the other day, and I was cracking jokes with the phlebotomist, and it was all right. And it was the same when I had my last surgical procedure done in the hospital. I was sitting there laughing and joking with the surgeon, and he was white-faced because he couldn't believe me, because he must have thought I was insane, because he's doing this surgical procedure on me and I'm having a good time. And I'm checking his procedure and commenting on what he's doing. and he was very much aware that I was checking on his quality of work, and he was surprised by how much I knew about medicine. It was funny. I had a great time. But this is too much less about me. Let's go back to you, Beryl. I'm taking over.
Yeah, I had a colonoscopy a couple of years ago without anesthesia, because they told me beforehand that I had to have somebody come with me, and that person was drive me home. Oh, I'd have to stay for 2 hours to rest, to let the anesthesia see if there were any reactions, and then have somebody drive me home, and blah blah blah.
It's a lot of messing about, isn't it?
I'm not having anesthesia. Oh, but you have to, said the nurses. So don't tell the doctor I'm fine, I'm going to use hypnosis. Doctor came in. Oh, okay, all right, up to you. Sign the form. All right. So he did it, and he said, "Young." This is how old he was. He's the Sheikh's guy. So he says, "You know, young lady, if I was young enough, I'd learn what you know, because that was the easiest colonoscopy I've ever done." He said, "Even with anesthesia, I have the old lady saying, oh, tabit, oh, you know, asking because there's pain." He says, "That was the easiest I've ever done. I wish I knew what you know." And because it was private, I got $100 off the bill.
I had that done with.
I said, "Oh, you know, I didn't use the anesthesia. You've saved a lot of time and effort. I don't need that 2 hours rest. I can drive home now. And don't I get a discount?" "Oh, I'll go and ask the doctor." They took $100 off the bill. And I was able to drive straight back to work, and I saw a client. So I earned $200 and saved it.
It's funny.
In the time where they would have had me having a rest and sleeping after to wear off the anesthesia.
When I had 2 lady surgeons did my colonoscopy, and I could feel it coming all the way up to here, and it's an unusual sensation. But all the way from the door to the gurney, at least they were both saying to me, "Are you sure, Mr. Taylor? It's going to hurt a lot." And they're trying to program me, and I said, "No, I'm quite sure." And they were trying to convince me that I was going to have a bad time all the way to the gurney, but it was okay. I could feel it going all the way up. The only thing I didn't like was when they inflated me with cold water. You'd think they could use some warm water, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be too expensive to use a little bit of warm water instead of cold water. And they explained they couldn't use warm water because they might burn me with warm water.
Cold water has more of a numbing effect anyway.
Does it? Well, possibly.
Yeah, we always put ice on an inflammation, for example.
Yeah.
But no, for me, it was the sounds. You know, all those, I just was giggling at all the sounds and then thinking that, well, he's used to this, because if you've not had one, people who are listening, you hear all this as they're going up there, you see.
They were surprised that I was
embarrassed about these farty sounds. I was thinking, well, he's used to it. It's probably good to him. So I changed the sounds.
They were surprised that I was able to help them get around the corners, because they said normally it's difficult to get around the corners because the colon is bendy, and I was able to help them get around the corners by moving my colon and changing my position, because I could see it on the camera where they were going, on the screens, I mean. It was great fun, and it was no problem at all. But I've also had a cystoscopy. That for a man is something else. But let's not go there, because I don't want to frighten anyone. But right. That was a couple of male surgeons did that. But come back to this your career. So you were working in a school. When did you start to learn about hypnosis?
Well, I guess whenever I learned about language,
Yeah.
I realized from an early age that language was hypnosis.
Yes. A bit
So
like
I was
me.
doing that all the time, really. The power of being the school principal was that you have all these little faces looking at you at school assembly every morning and tell stories, and you've got them all hypnotized. The power of story and hypnosis. So, yeah, I was hypnotizing all the kids in school assembly and well aware of it.
We've got Nick. Nick is asking us, how do you do mass hypnosis? We've both done that. I've done that many times.
Well, just to watch any leader. Watch the guy on the pulpit in the church. Watch the advertising industry. It's all mass hypnosis, isn't it? You just take a common belief and you up the pain, and I have the solution. Up the pain, I have the solution. Or you tell stories, transference, things like, the Cinderella stories have hypnotized women that a man will come along and save you for years. Aesop's fables. We're hypnotizing our kids every time we tell them a good night story, and then they're dreaming about that, and their brain is making it a reality.
A lot of mass hypnosis can be done non-verbally. If I'm on the stage and I just do a hand gesture, if I do this, then everybody's instantly hypnotized, aren't they?
If they follow your hand, or if they look away. No, it's about, what is hypnosis? It's just focus. That's all it is. Somebody said, is it tone of voice? Everybody thinks you have to have this boring hypnosis voice. Absolutely not. The more you engage the imagination, the more you put feeling. I mean, how would you read a story to a 7-8-year-old? Well, see, and then this happened, and then that happened. Oh, they'd be running off. You've got to put the imagination in. You've got to put the senses in. If you're going to tell the tale of the billy goat, and there was the monster under the bridge, and the little goat went trippity trip over the bridge, and the monster hid. You'd want to put that in because it engages the subconscious mind. Think of the subconscious mind as a 8 or 9-year-old.
Thought transference there, because I was thinking engage, and you said the word just like that. That's the power of the collective consciousness, which is also very important with mass hypnosis. You engage the collective consciousness, which I believe in a lot.
It's engaging the visual, the auditory, the kinesthetic, the smells and the tastes, and so that you actually feel you're there. And that's revivification versus visualization. The more you can revivicate it, so you're actually there and feeling it. Why are the girls or little kids so into Harry Potter or Frozen? Because they're there. And have you seen them with their eyes glazed over? They're there, they're in the story. They've actually transferred and become one of the characters in that. That's mass hypnosis.
Now you do. I know you're an expert in dental hypnosis. So you anesthetize people's mouths, and I know that I can do that very quickly, and within a minute I can do that. I'm sure that you can do the same.
Yeah, but that's what people think hypnosis in dentistry is. It's so much more than that, Keithanthony. It's I teach them to be able to anesthetize themselves, so they have a trigger word and they can go into that instant hypnosis. I teach the dentist how to use my trigger word with them, so they'll come in and say, "Oh, Beryl says I'm going to use hypnosis for this. Oh, Beryl, so she knows you? Yeah. Okay, take a deep breath, sleep." And they've already had that suggestion put into them by me, so they go straight into that. We practice it. And I say every time you go to Dr. Jones or whatever, and that's the relationship I have with that dentist. But it's more than fear of dentists and anesthesia. It includes things like bruxism, grinding of the teeth, gagging, I used to have a lot of saliva. Now I can stop my saliva because I hate that sound when it's going. It used to drive me crazy. Very auditory, you see. So I can teach the client to switch off from that sound, or even take the saliva. So that during the procedure, there's no saliva. Blood loss, because I've actually taught hemophilia to be able to go to the dentist. So there's, he can stop his blood flow. Isn't that, again, how Rasputin got to have favor with the king and queen? Because he was hypnotizing. There's all sorts of things. You may be having a secret cigarette and your husband doesn't know, but your dentist knows. So he sends smokers, he sends bulimics, because again, the bulimics, they are rotting their teeth from behind. Gum infections, all sorts of things. I had one client who had gum necrosis. That means her gums were dying, and literally dying. Yeah. So we were able to have them living again. A lot of stomach issues come from the mouth. Yeah. Any mouth infection, tooth infections, you're swallowing into your gut poison. So you can have the cleanest diet in the world, but you still got your IBS, your Crohn's or whatever, because of the state of your mouth. Not a lot of people realize that. They go the nutrition route. They don't go the psychological route. They don't go the mouth route. But nowadays, from our mouth, from the state of our mouths, we can predict cardiac arrest. Yeah. One of the tests for COVID is your mouth. Think about it. So you're swallowing that. Also dementia. You can predict dementia from the state of your mouth.
Mm. An instant medicine for most of us would be to learn to keep our mouths closed, because bacteria goes into the mouth, doesn't it?
Well, oral hygiene at least.
Mm.
Flossing. So we teach oral hygiene, because people forget, especially when they have dementia, the carers are not so much checking on dental health. So again, why are they refusing food, or they're having the shits or whatever? It's because of dental health. So check, are they looking after their oral health? Sometimes you have to teach them to do it, or you do it for them. But again, we can use hypnosis with the dementia patients, so long as they're still in early to mid stage, so that they remember to clean their teeth. Children as well, oral health habits.
With hypnosis, when we go to the dentist as well, of course, we can accelerate the healing if a tooth has been pulled out, can't we?
Absolutely. Yeah, we can do pre-surgery and post-surgery work. Yeah.
But as I was saying, if we learn to keep our mouth closed when we're not using it, that'll stop bacteria going in. So we won't get throat infections, things like that. That's always a good thing to do. I've learned to keep my mouth closed, because I used to get a lot of throat infections, but I don't get that anymore, because I learned to breathe through my nose and keep my mouth closed. And that gives you 20% more oxygen as well, which is also good for you.
Well, especially if you're practicing vagal nerve breathing as well.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Yes. Could I ask you, Beryl, when you've used hypnosis, what's one of the most fantastic things you've ever seen when you've used hypnosis? Because I know I've seen some incredible things when I've used hypnosis.
Well, as I say, the person who grew her gums back was amazing. But one I like to talk about, and it was a spontaneous past life regression. Mm-hmm. I used the affect bridge regression to cause. So, she was a bulimic, bring up that feeling. I have to go and I have to do this feeling. Back to the first time. And she was 17 and she was walking through the town looking for rats. And this didn't sound right from what I'd taken of a little bit of her history, the town. She was French. And where is this town? What is the name of it? Who are you? You're the enemy. Okay, what are you wearing? So, and she was barefoot. I thought, this is a past life, but you don't ask that question. How come you're looking for rats? She was looking for rats because the town had been under siege for 2 years. And she was very good at catching rats because that's what she had managed to live on. Her mother, father had died, her brother had died. She was all alone, but she was very good at catching rats. I said, how come the king has asked for you to catch rats for him? Oh, because we have no more food, we have no more water in the town because of the siege. So he wants us to feed the army so they can go out and have one last fight with the enemy. Okay, I got enough kind of information for now. Still didn't know how this to do with her bulimia and the feeling that she gets that she has to eat. So has to throw up. So I said, okay, move to the next significant event. Well, the enemy had won and the enemy was moving into the town. I thought, oh gosh, not another rape and pillage in the past. No, they were quite a nice enemy because they said, they gathered all the women and children and said, you must leave the town. They're taking over the town now. You must go beyond the forest. And she was terrified because her parents had always told her never to go into the forest. The forest was dangerous, etc., etc. So she was really scared. But one of the women stepped forward and said, I will lead the way. I've been through the forest. I know the way. So they told them, leave now. So they had to go out, this sorry bunch of women and children. And think about it, that there was no Geneva Convention in those days. As they left the town, lots of dead bodies, people dying, people reaching up, help, help, pulling their clothes and things. So they had to go through all of this to get towards the woods. And then the woman said, look for food, search their pouches for food. Again, in those days, they didn't have pockets. They had, and it was interesting, she said, search the pouches for food. So they all started to go over these dead bodies and bleeding bodies and fly. Oh, her description was disgusting. She was sort of gagging at this point as she's searching for food on these dead bodies. And suddenly she screamed like a banshee, like this. Oh, what's happening? Pain, pain. What is it? I said, I don't know. I said, look, what is it? She says, it's an arrow. From where? Okay, look. Oh, it's the archers. They don't like that we stopped looking for food. They want us to move. So the archers, I guess, were into the air, and one had landed as she was bending over. And she started throwing up as she's looking for food.
Yes.
And she died right there. So we do. I never just do like past life between lives now. Yeah. Rise up, see yourself, the lessons of this, forgive this you, etc. And then into the life between lives, the learnings to take into the next life. And that's when she made the decision to do this. And she'd done it in lives after that. And what relevance does that have to that life in, it was 1919 something, whatever it was, that date, because it was quite a long time ago. And I understand now. Okay, can you change that learning? Can you take it back to 19 whatever? Yeah, okay, do that now. Let me know when you've done that. Yeah, okay, you've just been born. Yeah, how do you feel about that now? It's okay. Go through all the subsequent events to the now, look back and do all that forgiveness work. Come on back. She never threw up again.
That's amazing.
One session. I couldn't believe it myself, because she was supposed to come for a second session. She said, I don't need to. I've already stopped.
That's an incredible story.
I know. That just blew my mind. And that was so long ago that it's very rare that things blow my mind now. But that was when I was, still sort of, I was still working at later after being a headmistress, I was head of the teacher training department at the university. So I was doing that and seeing people at the weekends. So that's how long ago it was. So that was pre-1996.
You worked in the Dubai a lot, haven't you? And I know that you've worked with kings and princes, haven't you? Are you allowed to tell us about that kind of thing without getting executed?
Royal circles. I won't say kings or princes or princesses or anything. I won't. No.
You can't. Okay, I respect that.
No, it's generally known amongst the local people.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I do.
What's it like working what's it like working in Dubai other than hot?
Well, I didn't, even working in Dubai, I had people flying in from Iran, from Kuwait, Saudi to do hypnosis work, because I was the only one in the Middle East at the time. And people would say, oh, you helped me. Can you help my mum? But she doesn't speak English. Oh, can you help my dad? But he doesn't speak English. So that's when I decided to train people, because I needed there to be people there who could do this work in other languages. So that's when I started to train people to do what I do.
Yeah. So
I've trained people whose first language is Russian, French, Dutch, Indonesian, Chinese, Arabic, Tagalog, all sorts of.
How many languages have you learned to speak the language now?
Oh, but I don't English. But once you've got a master's in English, you realize that you don't even speak that properly, whatever properly means. So yeah, Arabic, Swahili. Oh, my Swahili is the best. Now I'm learning French, of course, because I did O-level, but now I'm learning Spanish because I'm based in Spain now. I decided at 72 that maybe I could move out of Dubai, out of the concrete and clay, and be surrounded by orange groves and work online. And
you actually grew up in Africa, I believe, wasn't that right? Africa?
No, Manchester, born and bred. I went off to Tanzania to do VSO, voluntary service overseas, 2 years, and then stayed for 4. So I was teaching in Tanzania. And then because I spoke Swahili, when I was looking for a job, the Sheikh of Dubai said, oh, if you speak Swahili, you should be able to learn Arabic. So I was made headmistress of a school just before my 30th birthday.
Do you have
kids that hadn't even been built yet.
Do you have a favorite area of hypnosis that you like?
Just people. That's the favorite area, people.
Mm-hmm.
Parts therapy, regression to cause, getting to the deep stuff.
Yeah.
And unlike you, I don't actually do a lot of research into the medical aspects. I don't look at scripts or anything, because the person brings everything to me.
No, I don't use scripts either. For
my husband, I had a client today with ankylosing spondylitis, and I did this with her or that with her. Is that very common? Oh no, that's quite rare, you'd say, or whatever.
For the audience who may not be hypnotists, could we quickly explain to them what parts therapy is? Because you and I know what it is, but the audience might not.
And I always say, when people say, what would make me go to a hypnotist? I say, well, do you ever say to yourself, a part of me wants this, but a part of me wants that? Well, that's 2 different parts of your brain. Your brain is a thing, but it has different parts, like a chair has different parts. Yeah. So we're going to sort out these 2 parts and find out what their good intention is, because we're not our behavior, we are our intention, and find other behaviors. And then the old behavior can go, and you're left with what you want. But we can only make change for what you want. So be sure that it's what you want. If it's not what you want, we've got to sort out the part that wants this and the part that doesn't. So it's either I want to smoke or I don't want to smoke. easy. Yeah, because we can get it so that you're a non-smoker. But it's, oh, I don't know if I want to smoke or not. Then we've got to start with that, because that's two parts. I don't know if I want to smoke, but everybody says I should. Whenever it was two parts of us, then that's an internal struggle. And that's where that internal negative talk comes from. So let's sort that out.
That's the conflict. And that brings me to why I called this podcast London Overcomers Real Pain, because that real pain represents the struggle that we're all in. It's that represents the pain of moving from where we are to where we want to be, because it's always difficult, isn't it, to move from where we are to where we want to be. It's that internal struggle that we're going through.
Well, I've got a great example of that. You probably noticed I wear a brace, and that's because I had a double fracture and the dislocation of my elbow. And as a result of the surgery they did for that, they severed the radial nerve. And the doctor refused that he'd done it. Although I knew, because I couldn't get my hypnotic messages to this pain, I couldn't get the hypnotic messages, and the messages are going through the nervous system.
Yes.
Okay. They left me for 5 months with radial nerve. Now, radial nerve is one of the thickest nerves in our body. It's as thick as a pencil. Okay. It's the nerve that lifts and twists. And even my husband was saying, oh, you wouldn't know if you cut the nerve, Beryl. The doctor would know if he cut the nerve, there'd be a lot of blood. And I know he cut the nerve. I know he cut the nerve. I had to be pretty monstrous. Finally, I found a doctor after 5 months. And nobody can believe that I went 5 months with a severed radial nerve. I found a neurosurgeon who would go in and have a look, and they found 2.5 inches of severed nerve, a gap. And they know that nerve decreases at 1/2 inch a month. So that was pretty evident. They had to take the nerve from my leg and put it in my arm. It was 11 hours of surgery. So my arm is, yeah. Okay, the pain stopped, but as you can see, the fingers don't work. So I was sitting in the doctor's office. He says, yeah, well, at least the pain has stopped, but you'll probably never write again. I stood up. I can still remember the sound of the chair as it went backwards. And I said, don't you ever say that. Don't you ever say things like that to anyone. I will write, and I will write, and I will write a book. And I remember saying, I can never say that word again.
I love this story.
So much that the nurse put a hand on the doctor's shoulder and said, oh, you can't speak to the doctor like that. And the doctor went, so he said, it's all right, nurse. I want you to write a book. I want you to go out and do it. Prove me wrong. And that was my driving force. And when I look back at my life, my driving force has always been prove them wrong. Prove them wrong about you. Prove them. Like I said, I thought I wasn't clever enough to go to university. I saw the university grads as teachers getting paid more, but doing less, and expected to do less. So prove them wrong about me. I'll go and get a master's degree. I am clever enough. It's been a driving force in my life to prove. So you can either be, as we say in NLP terms, a moving away from person or a towards person. Yeah, moving away is not good motivation. It's not so inspiring. Yeah, but say I'll prove them wrong is going towards something. Towards it, yeah. I make that anger, not anger at them. It's the anger that pushes you forward. Yeah, and I see it like it rocket fuel. I'll prove them wrong is like my rocket fuel. Does that make sense? Well,
yes, indeed.
Isn't it funny that expression, does it make sense? That expression means, does it appeal to the senses? And it's our senses that create pain or pleasure.
I remember when I was working in the hospital, when I used to volunteer doing hospital radio, I was talking to a man in the ward one day, who was paralyzed except for his thumb. He had a switch in his hand. He said, "What hope have I got? I can only use my thumb." And he'd become paralyzed that day. And the doctors had said, "You're always going to be this way." And I said to him, and I went out on a limb a bit, because I said, "Don't listen to them." I said, "Look at me. I was paralyzed in 1978 from the neck down." I said, "Look at me. They told me I would always be that way." And then I spun on my heels, did a little dance. And I said, "Don't listen to them." And then he started smiling. He said, "Will you be coming back tomorrow?" I said, "Well, no, I only come in on Wednesdays." But I said, "I'll make a special trip to come and see you." But I said, but why? And he said, you cheered me up. You've given me hope. And I went back the next day, and the bed was empty, and he was standing at the end of the ward with a bunch of doctors standing around him. And he pointed to me and he said, "There he is, there's Keith, he did this." I said, "I didn't do it." And I said, "You did it," which was true. I think they just misdiagnosed him, probably.
Yeah. Well, that's it. When they said that I'll never write again, I knew that the most important thing in our hand is these two fingers.
Mm.
These two fingers, you can do anything. You really don't need the other three. These are the important things, like grab claws.
Yes.
So I worked so hard. To them, it's a miracle that I can do this. I mean, the first time I just twitched, like, I couldn't wait till my husband got home to say, "I moved my finger," and I just moved it like that much. "I moved my finger." He said, "No, you can't. It's a severed nerve." I said, "I did. I moved my finger." And I worked so hard that, look, I can do it. I can't imagine. I can do it with, but I can even use chopsticks now, just with these. True, I pick up my pen with this hand, but I lodge it in here and lodge it against there, and I can write. Okay, it's not beautiful writing, but it's writing. It's a communication.
And you've written a whole book.
And I proved him wrong. And I wrote that book.
And you type with that hand as well?
Now with a colleague who's who also completed the dementia training with me on NLP and hypnosis with dementia patients, because nobody's done that.
What does the future hold, Beryl? What are you planning for the next 2 or 3 years?
I guess I'm still in transition. At the moment, I'm just taking opportunities as they come and dropping some. I'm very fortunate to be a pensionista now at 72, and I don't have to work if I don't want to. I can offer my services for free if I want to. I can charge if I want to. I guess I'm just going along with the waves. Like, yeah, and letting the wind take me where it will.
Are you taking it easy?
No, not at all. You do not want to ever take life easy. When you take life easy, life doesn't come to you. When people say they're retiring, they get tired and they die. I don't want to do that. Still want to be of use. So I help with, we set up a Parkinson's group here. I want to set up a carers for dementia group here and help them. It'll be free, but just to be of service to my community, because I'm still a bouncy 72-year-old, but when I'm 82, maybe I'll need help. So I'd like to know that I've given before I ask for help.
I'm coming up for retirement age myself, which in England is 66 now, which will be in August. But I'm going to keep going, I think, because I like what I do. And I'm branching out now, because I'm doing these podcasts as well, which I'm thinking will be successful with this first one. And I really am pleased that you are my first guest. I couldn't have picked a better one, I don't think, because it's been really good fun.
Well, remember, success is happiness, and happiness is success.
Yes.
If you're happy, you are successful.
And
you are happy, but there's a lot of people who think they're successful because they've made money or they've done things, but they're not happy, so therefore they're not successful.
Well, I always believe that happiness is a thing that you create inside. People try to find happiness, but they never look inside for it, because you just look inside, and it's always been there. You just create it. You just say, well, I'm happy because I just decided to be. And that's the tall and short of the game of happiness in my mind. I just make a decision.
What the marshmallow test teaches us, isn't it?
Marshmallows teach you to be happiness. I'm not,
The marshmallow test in psychology.
I'm not familiar with that one. Explain it, please.
I don't know if we're running out of time, but anyway, it was back in the 60s. The teacher went into her kindergarten class. It's all on video. And she said, this marshmallow is for you. Okay, gave everybody a marshmallow. I'm going out of the room for 5 minutes. It's your marshmallow. You can eat it, do whatever you like. But if I come back and you still have a marshmallow, I'll give you another marshmallow. But it's your marshmallow, do with it. And off she went for exactly 5 minutes, came back. They carried on doing their training and things like that. And they wanted to see, and some kids had eaten the marshmallow, some hadn't. Okay, and she gave them a second marshmallow. They wanted to see, did this decision that these children made at age 3, 4, did it have any impact on their lives later? Is there anything that you can deduct from this, that you can predict from this behavior? So move forward 30, 40 years, they wanted to see, was there any difference between these two groups? And in most things there wasn't. But when it came to success, which group do you think was more successful? The group that ate the marshmallow or the ones that didn't? What do you think, Keithanthony?
I would say the group that didn't eat the marshmallow were more successful.
I wonder what Julia would say, and Patrick.
The ones that didn't.
Okay. Patrick? I think you know this already. Yeah, you know the answer because I've talked to you about this before. Yeah, you're actually quite evolved, you guys, because you're correct. Most people say the ones who took it because they think that people carpe diem, they seize the day. But if you think about it, now I've eaten my marshmallow and I see this little girl next to me with 2 marshmallows. You've got 2 marshmallows, it's not fair. Yeah. In fact, one of the little girls saw the little boy next to her crying and gave her marshmallow to him. Who actually felt better? The little girl, because she was able to give. Yeah, and she felt good about that giving, unless somebody made her feel bad, like you shouldn't have done that. Yeah, they found there was demographically, they were exactly the same number of millionaires, middle of the road people, and poor artists in the garret types. But the thing is, the ones over here who had taken the marshmallow, they didn't feel successful. There was always more they wanted to do, more they had to achieve. They didn't feel happy, although they were successful. Whereas over here, I've achieved that. Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, I'm successful. They had exactly the same. It was their outlook in life. That's why what I teach people is emotional intelligence development. That's what my specialty is. Because when you can develop your emotions, your emotional reactions to things, you are actually intelligent. And I use a lot of modalities, not just hypnotherapy, hypnosis, NLP, EFT, havening. I use a lot of transactional analysis to help make change. Because if you can see that if you're happy, you are already successful. Nobody can say you're successful. Successful is a nominalization. Every one of us in this group has a different definition of what success is.
Yes. Beryl, you've been fabulous on the show. It's really been good. Really enjoyed having you. Would you like to, we're just coming to the end of the show. Would you like to give your contact details?
Okay, yes. Beryl Comar @gmail.com. My websites are hypnodonticsworld.com, where you can find people I've trained and certified to do hypnodontics around the world. You can do the training if you want. as well. You can see a demonstration of me doing an instant induction and doing glove anesthesia. BerylComar.com, access to my CDs and my, oh, you didn't even talk about my broken heart cure. Oh, I love doing the broken heart cure. That's something I do like doing.
We can talk about it. There's no limit on time if you want to talk about that.
Another one in the future, broken hearts and relationship work, which is more and more what I'm getting known for. And it's so important. People want to manage their relationships externally, but first you've got to manage your relationship within yourself.
Fabulous. And I would like to have you on the show again, and we can talk about that. And it's been fabulous having you on the show. Beryl Comar, it's been amazing. Thank you very much for coming. This has been Keithanthony Taylor. This has been the London Overcomers Real Pain. And I look forward to the next show. Thank you for everybody for listening. Thank you, Beryl Comar. And bye-bye from me for now. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Others for joining us. Bye-bye. Have a great day.